Coaches, we are having our own version of March Madness. My name is Brandon Pugsley. I'm part of Team Sparkle. I am actually the media advisor, the media guy who comes in and helps out our coaches crush it. Every week and every time we get a chance to talk with folks, we go through a lot of different options, whether we're talking about TikTok, whether we're talking YouTube, whether we're talking Facebook. Everybody wants to get to paid media just as quickly as possible. And it's always the biggest challenge because it's like, when do you go, when don't you? So there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about this morning that hopefully will help you as you are growing and bringing your coaching program forward. Now, a lot of advertising has to do with where we are in the world and what aspect and growth of your business, whether you're that coach that's growing up, that's hit that first 10K, or you're busting through that barrier, or you're scaling up over 50, or you're pressing up over 7 figures. It always depends on where you are and how we leverage media. Obviously, organic has fallen off significantly, and we know that the challenge and what we're bringing forward into this year, into 2022, and the changes we've seen with the evolution of TikTok and the falling off or the effectiveness of Facebook, everybody's like, what's the question? How do I do this? What do I bring in forth? So what I'm going to talk to you today about is where you should be spending your time to make your advertising campaigns work the best for you. Now, there's always an opportunity when you start talking about paid media to use what you've seen, right? We all know on Facebook, you can go to the ad library and you can look around and see what actually is there and whether it works for you, right? And you're like, oh, I see this person running this ad, so that must work. Here's the thing. When you're looking at those, your messaging is much more important than somebody else's. And just because you see an ad running doesn't mean it actually works. There's plenty of testing that we do at scale that most of them don't work. So if we were talking big picture, all right, and you're going, hey, I have to work through all these different things, and we know we want to test a bunch of different messages. When do you do it? When your organic messaging and conversations work, that's when your paid media comes into play. We like to talk about it with Sparkle. We like to talk about we market for the conversation. We market for the opportunity to come in and talk to people when it's time. Because we know if we get in a conversation as a coach, your expertise gets to shine through. Your opportunity to come in and shine is built upon the whole front that you're there to help people. So when we look at what we want to do and what we want to drive, there are certain campaigns that work fantastically well and will actually deliver amazing results for you, and other campaigns that don't bring the same campaign in. So I want to talk to you real quick, and we're going to talk some different options here, and I'm going to do a little bit of drawing if that's okay, so we can bring it in and talk a little bit more specifically. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to do a little bit of drawing if that's all right. And I want you to remember, we've all seen these campaign, these little shapes and opportunities we use, right? So everybody's seeing an upside down pyramid. No real shock here. And if we talk across the top, right, we've got top of funnel, we got middle, and we got bottom. And if you think about the temperature and the way that everything works, is that the coldest audience is obviously up top, right? And then you've got something in the middle that works generically. And then down on the bottom would be, and I like to use blue, right? Because that means it's you're cranking and everything's working really well. What happens a lot of times is the majority of effort, and what I want you to think about if you look at this is, right, we're going from audience size big and down to audience smaller. The opportunity here, as you look at what you're bringing forward, is this the size of the audience that matters, or are we talking more specifically about the right audience? Because what happens usually is if we take this exact pyramid as it looks like here, right, and we're focused in these domains, what a lot of times happens is most people will spend 80% of their time focused on the top of the audience, the widest area, the coldest of the cold. They're like, I want to bring in more people. I want to bring in more opportunity. I want to bring in more space. I want to scale my business. The interesting thing is that when you do this, and so what the counter to that is you end up only spending 20% down here. Well, this is typical 80-20, right? So if you're spending 20% down there, where does your profit come from? Right? So in the last year, in 2021, Facebook had big changes. And if you don't know this, we have something in the advertising world we call attribution. An attribution window means the amount of time I can track somebody and actually be able to assign their actions to an ad. Well, Facebook changed their attribution windows. It used to be 28 days. And in May of last year, in 2021, it got cut significantly to right now, it's only 7 days. And if you use an iPhone, which many of our coaching clients do, right? Then we know that about 60% of people who buy and use internet marketing, they're using an iPhone. So this is a big audience, right? And if we're spending all this time in there, now they have this piece where they say, do not track. So how does that impact everything we're doing? All right, this is how. When you spend 80% of your time focused up here at the coldest audience, you're counting on that attribution model. So you're counting on that 7-day window. But let me ask you a question. When you first encounter somebody, the very first time you encounter somebody, do you buy? Do you jump in and spend time with them and work exactly off of that opportunity? Or do you follow them? Do you get to know them? Right? Do you get introduced? So, up at the top here, we start talking about, do you get introduced? Do you like their personality? Do they fit? Are they a fit for your culture, for how you like to operate? As you get down further into it, right, then we start getting into messaging, right? Do they solve your problems? Do they help deliver what you need? Right? And do they push in and keep moving your line? Do they keep you growing? When you get to the bottom of the funnel and you really start drilling this last piece here, this is where the decision making happens. This is where the opportunity comes in that you have to be able to take someone and push the line. So if that becomes things like commitment, right? I'm ready to invest. Right. And at this point, what's really in place here is belief. Your audience now believes that you can help them. So when you start realizing that pieces, there's this inverse relationship, right? So what happens down here is this is where all the people become your buyers. There's still 1 or 2%. If you look at the big picture and you run the data, a lot of times what happens is this is your 1%, right? Maybe up to a few points higher. This is kind of your 20%, and then your 80% of your revenue comes from the people who actually know you. They're ready to make a decision. They know you can solve the problem. They believe you can do it, and now they're ready to take action. But yet we're spending 80% of our time focused on the 1%, hoping that we can get enough people to take action to keep the ad scaling. What if we inversed it? What if we flipped this around? What if we took that piece and we got our 3 lines, right? And we know now that this is our key action down here. And we took our messaging. We took our messaging from this section down here, our messages, our content, our worksheets, our exercises. And we used them to connect and to build traction with your higher audience. See, if you're spending 80% of your time dealing with the people who are already clients and are more likely to become clients, what happens in the human psychology is actually you will attract your audience naturally. So the question that I always ask is, when you're spending time developing your messaging, are you taking from what works here and leveraging it into your cold audiences? Or are you taking guesses? Are you taking even an educated guess and trying to convince people to move down the path? The majority of coaches, the majority of advertisers spend more time focused on trying to come up with the perfect message for a cold audience and tries to warm them up. When the campaigns that we've seen scale, the businesses that we've seen grow, we're talking from 10K to 100K, 100K to a million to 5 to 10. The last business we built up over $60 million. It didn't start here. It starts here with what works, with what you know actually works. And then you take the messaging based upon the feedback. Guess what? This comes back to feedback from your clients, from the people who sign up. And when I sign up, I don't mean lead magnets or leads or any of that. I'm talking about the people who are opening their wallet and handing you a credit card and saying, take my money. What do they want? Why do they sign up? When you understand why someone signs up, someone actually pays, is willing to pay you. When you understand that, all of your other traffic, all of your other campaigns, all of your other advertising, your media, everything else that you bring forward, your message, your content, your exercises, and your worksheets, all of these assets that you've built for your business, you can now leverage to cold traffic and scale. It's a simple system, but it is not easy. The hardest thing we do, and the biggest thing, is when you have your own bottle, because you live inside it. And no matter what you do and everything you bring forward, when you live inside the bottle, it is really hard to see outside of it. So it's a little bit of fun. It's a little bit of challenge. So here's an exercise for you to do. So the question we asked is, where do you spend your time? Where is the action? Where is the activity? Where is the opportunity you have to drive in and spend time that you can get the best and the cleanest opportunity to grow? Because there is so much opportunity for you that you have to know where to dive in. So here's the campaign. This question I have for you, if you're following along and you're in a part of the scavenger hunt, make sure you know which campaign coaches give up on too quickly. Do you know yet? Let's fill it out. Cold traffic, warm traffic, hot traffic. What do we call this? Retargeting. And when we give up on retargeting too quickly, you see a huge fall off. If I have the ability to bring in a bunch of cold ads, and I have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 ads going to cold traffic, and I've got a couple of ads going to warm traffic, and I have one ad going to, not that one, I've got one ad going to my hottest traffic. This is my retargeting. This is your number one area. Should be your most profitable campaigns, your retargeting campaigns. But yet, how often do we change them? How often do we turn them over? How often do we come back again and again and again and try and work them? Because when you work in the retargeting space, when you are working actively talking to your best, highest value clients, those are the messaging that will naturally attract those that want what you can deliver. It's very hard. In advertising, it's very hard to convince somebody to take action. People don't want to be convinced. People want to buy. They want to feel like you're there to help them. And no matter what, the best way to help someone is not to convince them. It's not slick tactics and pressure sales. It's serving your audience the right way and continuing to show them how you actually help them. That comes from your warmest, from your clients. It comes from your assets that you've already built. It comes from your program. And when you use those messages and talk to the number one campaign, you talk to your retargeting audiences, and you keep showing them that social proof, the ability that you can actually help them, that's where you'll convert more sales. All right, so I'm going to keep this pretty short. That was just a buzz through on everything that we have. But when you have the opportunity to work with Team Sparkle, I know we have a variety of people involved, and it is a fantastic community. So you're invited. You're invited to join. Check us out. See what you like. Look around. Watch the rest of the live stream. There's more coming. There's more opportunity. There's more special guests. And Sally's got some big stuff planned. So you're invited to join us, and I truly, truly hope that you got one small takeaway from this session. I'd love to hear what that was. Leave a comment below or wherever you're seeing this video, and I hope to see you guys inside that special group because you are most welcome to join us. Have a wonderful day.